Veteran's faded glance changed all, but just minutes later, a staff member asked him to leave because someone felt uncomfortable looking at him. The whole diner turned away. No one knew who he was. Welcome to one of the veteran stories that left us unable to stay silent. A minute later, when a young Navy SEAL saw that tattoo, everyone stood up. This is justice for veterans, and today, you will never look at an old man the same way again. His name was Frank Donovan, age 84, former logistics technician, SEAL Team Bravo. Hair white like sea salt, his back curved with time, and his eyes that had seen things no one wants to remember. Frank didn't wear a uniform, just an old windbreaker, faded and frayed at the sleeves. On his left wrist was a blurred tattoo, a dagger piercing through an anchor, a symbol no one there understood, except him. Frank came here every year, on this exact day, sat alone, ordered one single burger, not because he was hungry, but because of a promise left unkept. From the back table, a few middle-aged men started whispering, "Cheap tattoo." Another old man pretending to be a SEAL. Trying to score a free meal, huh? Bet he worked in the kitchen back then. Frank said nothing. Still sitting there, slicing his burger, slow, deliberate movements, but his eyes darkened. Before he could take a second bite, a nervous waiter approached, leaned in to whisper something quietly. "Sir, I'm sorry, but some guests feel uncomfortable. Would you mind sitting outside? In the back?" Frank put his knife down, didn't say a word. Then, he stood up. Frank reached for his wooden cane. His prosthetic leg clicked with a dry sound as he stood. Every step felt heavier. Not from age, but from the weight of memory. He passed indifferent stares. On the other side of the room, a boy quietly asked his mother, "Why does that man look so sad?" No one answered. The glass door opened. Cold air slipped through his thin jacket. Frank sat down on a wooden bench out back, frail hands holding a now cold burger. No one knew. That burger was his ritual, his remembrance for someone who never made it home. Laos, southern border, 1971. Frank lay in a muddy pit, blood spilling from his left leg. Next to him was Sam, his best friend, gripping his arm, whispering, "You'll be fine. I'm getting you out." But then the second mine exploded. Frank saw nothing but a gray sky, and his name being shouted over the radio. He woke up in a field hospital. His left leg was gone. Sam never came back. Since then, every year, Frank ate one burger at any diner. On the exact day, Sam died. Not to mourn a death, but to honor a promise between two soldiers who once said, "When this war ends, we're getting burgers." Sam Riley, Frank's best friend, funny, stubborn, always carried a photo of his family and used to joke, "If I die, eat a burger for me. Don't you dare cry." During their final ambush, Sam shielded Frank and never returned. His body was never found, only a broken chain and an unfinished promise. Every year, I eat one burger. Not because I'm hungry, but because I still owe him that meal. On Frank's left wrist was a tattoo, a dagger piercing through an anchor, blurred ink, faded lines. But to anyone from SEAL Team Bravo, 1969, it was a silent vow that needed no words. Only 8 men ever wore that tattoo. No records, no medals, none survived, except him. Frank never flaunted it, never explained it. To him, that tattoo was a silent grave for the other 7, and a promise he kept alive with every lonely burger. The diner door swung open. A tall, firm-shouldered young man walked in, his stride crisp. On his chest, a shining Navy SEAL insignia. His name was Logan Parker, 28 years old. Active duty SEAL, recently returned from a classified mission in the Middle East. He scanned the room, then froze. Outside, on the old man's wrist, Logan saw that tattoo. Dagger, anchor, no way to mistake it. Without hesitation, Logan walked straight toward Frank and did something that left the entire diner in stunned silence. Logan stepped up, didn't say a word, stood before Frank, and suddenly snapped to attention. Hands at his side, eyes locked forward. No one understood what was happening. A young SEAL, saluting an old man in a ragged coat with a cold burger in front of him. "Sir, if that tattoo is real, then I am standing in front of a legend." Frank slowly looked up. His eyes welled, not from age, but because for the first time in 50 years, someone saw who he truly was. The diner fell completely silent. Logan remained at attention, his gaze fixed on Frank. Then, an older man stood from his booth. One clap, then another. Soon, the whole diner stood up, everyone applauding. No one needed an explanation. No one asked why. They just knew this man deserved it. The restaurant manager rushed out, bowed slightly and said, "Sir, we were wrong. From now on, you'll always have a place here. If it's all right, I'd like to sit with you, sir." Frank nodded. Logan pulled up a chair, and that morning, the story began to be told, for the first time in over half a century. As the room settled, a trembling voice spoke from behind Frank. "Sir, did you serve with Sam Riley?" He squinted at the young woman, hair neatly tied, plain waitress uniform. But her eyes, they looked just like someone he could never forget. She stepped forward, pulling an old silver pendant from her apron. "Sam Riley was my grandfather. Grandma used to tell us about a man named Frank Donovan." Frank said nothing. He pulled out a worn leather wallet and slipped out a photo. Two young soldiers, smiling, sharing a protein bar in the jungle. The girl broke down in tears, and the diner grew still as a church. 2 generations, one promise, one reunion no one expected. Frank held the photo with both hands, fingers trembling, tanned from wartime sun. 2 young men in the photo, one with dark hair, wide grin. The other, sharp eyes but kind. Behind them, a hand-painted sign, "Burger Day, when we survive." My grandmother always said Grandpa Sam carried that photo. Said if he survived, he'd find his friend Frank again. I thought I was the only one keeping that promise. Emily took the photo. She brushed her fingers gently over her grandfather's face, then looked at Frank and smiled through her tears. In that moment, the past and the present blurred. Friendship, loyalty, transcending war, time, and death itself. Within days, Frank Donovan's story spread across the town, and then the nation. Schools hosted Silent Hero Appreciation Day. Students wrote handwritten letters to a small address on 12th Street, where Frank had lived alone for nearly 30 years. Letters, scribbled drawings, blue-inked cards, all pinned to Frank's living room wall. People began asking him about the past. He refused to speak of war, but not of friendship. At the restaurant where it all began, the manager hung a framed photo. Frank, Sam, they kept their promise in silence. Frank never needed medals, but in the end, he received something he never dared to hope for: recognition, right on time, and in the right way. Frank Donovan passed peacefully in his sleep at the age of 88. His funeral was full military honors, dignified and filled with mourners. His casket, draped with the flag. 6 young SEALs, Logan Parker among them, carried him to his final resting place. Behind them, Emily held the hand of her young son, whispering, "That man was the only one who ever made Grandpa laugh in war." His grave lies beneath an old oak tree beside the town's veterans cemetery. His headstone bears no medals, no rank, just one line. His silence spoke volumes. His service changed lives. His silence changed everything. Frank Donovan never asked for a stage. All he needed was a nod from a younger soldier and one promise kept on time. Men like Frank don't speak up. They don't write memoirs. They choose silence so we can live in peace. Justice for veterans is more than a name. It's what we believe. Justice shouldn't come too late, and gratitude can't afford delay. If you ever see someone like Frank, don't walk past. Share this story so they won't be forgotten before it's too late, because their silence is the loudest reminder we will ever hear.